Hello everyone. So I got a special video for you today. It's me, Howard Friends. And this video is post 24 at Daytona. This is the actual car that we ran during the race. Photo taken I think at least halfway through the race. And man, I'm excited for this video, guys, because you know, there was a long race. It was a long race to say the least. Because yeah. Before I continue on with the video, please like, subscribe, hit the ring notification button for more future videos. And yeah, so where do I begin with this video? So this is at least a little over 24 hours past the end of the race. And my God, was it a race? Especially since there were 2 time slots that start prior to this event, or to our time slot. There was a lot. I've saw on a lot of streams that there was a lot of carnage, and that didn't help me out too. Because when I went to bed the night before at 10 o'clock at night, which is Friday for me, I woke up like around midnight because the anxiety and the nervousness kicked in. Because out of our 5 drivers, I was the one that was going to be starting the race, mainly because a lot of them didn't want the pressure of starting the race, but also, I don't know, like I said before in videos past, that I kind of have a little vengeance or redemption for this race in particular, because the first time and the only time I've ever done the 24 of Daytona was back, I believe, in 2017, 2018, and I ended up doing the last 12 hours on my own. I didn't do them straight. I did have my own little breaks here and there, but my teammates kind of bailed on me. So the nice thing about going into this race was I had 4 other teammates plus me to drive this beautiful car. And before I continue on, man, I really got to give much love and attention to my teammates that came together literally last week. Literally, today's Monday, and last week we kind of we had 2 more drivers come in, and then we had the other 2 kind of come in late. So yeah, let's start. So beginning of the race, a lot of pressure. I had to qualify the car. And when I qualified the car, I kind of just had to be in my own little state of mind. So thankfully, because we had a Discord chat, and thankfully the guys just, you know, it was just me alone. Or actually, no, they were still in the chat. I took off my headset and just kind of got in my rhythm. And I did post my fastest lap ever, which was, I think, like a low 140, which is not the greatest, but it was my fastest lap time, given the fact that I still had to get used to driving this car, the new tire model, everything. So for me to kind of run that lap was pretty good, but it wasn't good enough because I started dead last in class. But that was our advantage, because come start of the race, my teammate Alex, he chimed in and was like, "All right, well, I'll spot for you in the race." And thankfully, our 3 other teammates, because they were chit chatting, they were like, "We're gonna go in a different chat so that way you can focus on the start." And let me tell you, that start was wild. As expected, there was carnage on the first lap, but I was able to navigate through it. And it was funny because on the start of the race, I started from 12th and I gained 5 spots and landed on 7th. Mind you, when I got in 7th place on the first lap, who would have thought that would be our finishing position? Because yeah, from that point on, we were actually moving forward. We were making progress. My first stint was mistake free. I kept her in one piece. I brought her in. Then Alex took over, and he had a great stint too. Once Philip took over, he did have some minor issues. There was, again, evident of, you know, we were going to have some bad trouble here and there, but nothing too crazy. Nothing crazy at all yet. Andrew takes over, drives his stint, cool. And then our rookie, Lil Sebastian, who I admire so much, man. This kid really, he surprised me. Because I think a lot, as most people on iRacing, when they have someone young, it's a 50-50. They're either going to do a really good job or they're not going to do a good job. And, you know, Sebastian, I told him this before, and I got to give him credit where credit is due. This kid really did a lot of things that were surprising to me, but in a good way. I I think a lot of us, especially getting into the first stint, there were some nerves behind. But once we got a rhythm going, we're like, okay, we're okay. So four of us already took over the car, and then it was Sebastian's turn to take over the car, and he was doing good, and then he made his first rookie mistake. Backs the car into the inside turn wall barrier where the tires are at, and he starts beating himself up. And I knew this happened because this was during my first nap of the race. I was trying to take a 2-hour nap, and as I was laying there, because I had the background noise, or I had the race going on, just the pure roar of the cars and whatnot playing in the background, because for some reason I like to sleep with that stuff on. I don't know. I'm a weird gearhead. Anyways, I can faintly hear my headset going like kind of like getting louder than usual, and I'm like, oh boy. So I woke up. That's when I saw the meatball flag, and that's when I found out that little Sebastian made a mistake, and that was the thing. I loved. That's the one thing I admire about my teammates was we weren't hard on each other, and especially because I think at the time when Sebastian was in the car, it was Andrew and Alex in the chat with him, and I again love these guys so much because they kept us cool. They were like, dude, it's all right, it's a minor mistake, In other words, we're trying to make sure he wasn't hard on himself, because I remember when I was at that age, I would be hard on myself, especially if I had a lot of pressure taking care of a car. Even though it's a video game, as most of you guys might think, no, this is the closest to the real thing we're going to get to the real 24 at Daytona. And I'm going to keep emphasizing that a lot because it's true. We don't have those actual funds where we can spend millions of dollars and go out to do the real thing. So this is the closest thing we're going to get, And so when little Sebastian kind of had a mistake, it's like I chimed in. I was like, bro, it's okay, dude. We're still early on in the race. I think we were approaching like the 18th hour, 19th hour. Yeah, we were in the 19th hour, approaching the 18th hour of the race. And I'm like, dude, we still got a long ways to go. Because mind you, we started, or by the time I let the car go, I think they were already close to 5th place, if I'm not mistaken. And prior to that, Philip was, he encountered some issues, but they weren't crazy issues to the point where believe we got the meatball. And so, it was okay. I told little Sebastian, I'm like, bro, it's all right. It's okay to make these mistakes. This is what you learn. This is how we grow, And mind you, we're a team that got put together last minute. So I was not expecting this race to go perfect at all. And so, once he took over, or once, he fixed the car, I told him, continue your stint, whatever. We still had a long ways to go. And boy, did the mistakes keep coming along. Because I believe it was Alex who also got the meatball at some point during the race too. And so yeah, we had setbacks. They weren't crazy from what I've seen, especially now that the race is over and I've been like on Reddit and YouTube seeing all the other streams and all the other stuff that went wrong during other races. For our mistakes that happened, the minor because yeah, we had issues. We had major issues, but they weren't to the point where we were caught in like the worst luck possible, And that was the thing too, was like we were really great teammates. We were great cheerleaders for one another, And that was the crazy thing too, is like during this race was like, in a way we were kind of getting to know each other more, because we had a guy Alex is from Germany, Andrew's from New Jersey, Philip is from Texas, I'm from California, and little Sebastian's from New Zealand. So a very diverse group of guys, let alone 2 guys in their teens, 1 in their 20s, and then 2 guys in their 30s, in their early 30s. So a very diverse age range, but I just love the common thing that brought us together, and that is motorsports, because yeah, we talked about things, that goes on in the world and whatnot. But I just loved how we kind of just put that to the side and we just really just admired a lot of things about racing. And as the race progressed on, that was kind of like the thing. We were talking about what we're going to do after this, which I will explain next, what we're going to do after this event. But anyways, after a little hiccup with little Sebastian and Alex, because I believe they were the only 2 that got the meatball flags. Guys, correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, but I'm pretty sure it was just only you 2 that got the meatballs. The rest of us we had minor mistakes. Like for me, I'm not going to say I ran a perfect race, because there were times where I went out on cold tires and I thought they were warmed up and I spun out. Thankfully, no harm, no foul. But again, I had my own issues too. I didn't run a perfect race, but I did my best to keep the car intact and on track, because I wasn't the fastest, but I had the mind of just, keeping the car longer on track so when our fast guys took over, they would have a shot. And that was the thing too. Our top three guys, it was Philip, Andrew, and Alex that were kind of running between 138s, 39s to the high 140s versus me and little Sebastian. We were running in the 40s pretty much consistently throughout the race, which was nothing wrong too compared to the field. And that was the thing too. With endurance racing, you got three different classes. You got your fast prototypes, you got your medium fast prototypes, and you got your GT3 cars, which is like cars that you see in the real world. And so navigating through that kind of traffic, having to let cars pass you, we really had to pick and choose our battles. It wasn't like we were going to be like I said, flawless throughout the race. We had our issues. But man, dude, this team was so great, honestly. Like, I did not experience one little bad thing whatsoever throughout this event. And that's kind of where my point is going to be at about this, because man, these guys, they did something. They exceeded my expectations, because my goal was to just not only start this race but to finish the car in one piece, because I had redemption. I ran this race practically on my own. Yeah, I had teammates the first time, but I didn't have anyone that had my back like these guys did. And it was a fun time. Like, I'm not gonna lie, what I was after the race, I talked to one of my buddies about it because a lot of my friends were intrigued as to what happened throughout the race. And my buddy, we were talking about how, when you get put in a random squad when it comes to like the shooting games and stuff like that, and it ends up being like a flawless squad, that's kind of how it felt with this. Um, as the race progressed, as night progressed on, our communication got solid. And the thing I admired so much about my group of guys, when they were spotting for another driver, they were giving very clear and informative information. Like, it wasn't like half-assed information. No, these guys were flawless when it came to giving information, especially little Sebastian. Little Sebastian is, I don't know, I see him becoming a race engineer in the future. And but yeah, it was an incredible experience nonetheless. Like I said, we encountered issues throughout the race, but you know, when it came to us getting in the cars and stuff like that, we were on top of it. And for me, I had the mindset thinking like I would have some rest throughout the race because, mind you, I was so exhausted. I think the pressure of starting the race really didn't help with my rest, but I kept it get together and I was like, what, I'm gonna still pull through. And sure enough, as we hit the halfway point through the race, it was like, okay, we had a spreadsheet as to who was gonna run what stint. But then once I started seeing who was our fast guns, who was like the ones that were going to be conserving, I was like, all right, this is what we're going to do. And none of the guys weren't against it. They again, it was a flawless team effort nonetheless. Like I said, it wasn't a picture perfect race, but we had the execution was phenomenal, especially when it came to like, oh, what you needed for tire pressures or handling or brake bias or stuff like that. The minor adjustments that we had to do, because again, when it comes to endurance racing, we're all driving the same car and we all have different driving techniques. And one of the things we were being so aware of and we kept telling each other every time we got into the car was the cold tires, because that was a big issue. Yeah, it comes, as the later hours came in and it was nighttime, the cold temps were not in our favor, especially with the tires being so low. That's why when I made tire pressure adjustments to suit certain drivers, they were telling me like, yeah, that was a good adjustment, but then they would say like, oh, I'm overcooking the tires. Oh, I need an adjustment on that. Just little things like that. And then once we were like, once we would experiment, because that was the thing too, because it was a long race, we had to experiment. And we experimented with like changing one tire, changing the front tires, stuff like that. And we found out what worked best for us. And that's what I liked as the race progressed on. We were slowly executing together as a team. And yeah, sure enough, like I said, as we hit the halfway point, I don't think nothing crazier happened after that. I think after the halfway point is when Philip got his meatball. Flag if I'm wrong. Again, quote me if I'm wrong because I still have to watch the race entirely. Again, this is my one take on this because yeah, I just wanted to put this video out there because not only I want to let you guys know how we did because we started 12th and we finished 7th in our class, but we finished 16th overall out of 60 cars, which is an incredible result given the circumstances of the race team, you know. Because Philip, dude, your times were freaking insane. Like I didn't think you. I wanted to say you were the fastest one of our group, but you definitely were the fastest one of our group, along with Andrew being right there and then Alex. You know, um, because yeah, we were in reach of 5th place. Like that was the thing too. Again to little Sebastian's cheerleading. He was so optimistic. He's like, hey, we can still win this, guys. We can still win this, guys. And I just, you know, that's the thing I admired so much about the team was just they kept a positive attitude throughout the race, you know, and that's how I look at my as I look at the endurance race. I kind of like to use that analogy with life, you know, because we got to take the positive things out of the stuff that happened, you know. Even though we had so many like setbacks and stuff like that, it's like a thing that you say in life. It could be way worse, and sure enough, it could have been way worse because I've seen clips out there where guys are just getting taken out for no fault of their own, you know. And then, as a matter of fact, I saw a clip where there was a guy, there was a team that was running the same car that we were in, and they had 3 minutes left. They did their final pit stop, and they get taken out with 3 minutes to go. So thankfully, that wasn't our luck, you know. And you know, as we approached the later hours, I remember I took because I think it was around 9 o'clock my time. I took my final nap, which was like I needed sleep. I was mentally drained. I felt like I was taking a lot more roles than I should have because once I saw this team was actually helping each other out, I was like, okay, I don't really need to be worried as much. And that was the cool thing. And that's the thing I loved so much about the team was just we had each other's backs, regardless of what the circumstances were. Because there were points of time where some of us would have to be alone driving the car, unfortunately. But it was okay because it was kind of our own thing. Because mainly Philip liked to be on his own, I noticed. And I don't blame him because sometimes I like to have no talk in my ear and just kind of focus on what's going on. And I have self-awareness. Again, we each had our own little, I guess, comforts in terms of driving the car, you know. And as we approached the later hours and stuff like that, you know, we sat down as to figuring out who's going to do their final stands. And essentially, I ended up being I didn't think about closing out the race because I was like, you know what, I'm too tired. But I was like, you know what, it'd be cool to just close out the race to kind of just be like, all right, I redeemed myself from the last time, you know. And it was cool because as we hit like that final hour of the race, you know, we were really like talking about, all right, what's going to be next for us? What's next for the team, you know? And before I say what's next for the team, I want to first thank Philip for being the first one that actually joined. Had you not joined, I probably wouldn't have had 3 more other teammates because of you. Because, yeah, you brought in Lil Sebastian. And Lil Sebastian's energy really brought a lot of energy into the team. And, you know, thank God for Reddit because I posted something on there and that's how I got Philip. Philip, you know, used the same thumbnail that I used. And he's like, hey, you know, we're looking for teammates if anyone wants to join us. And that's when Alex and Andrew came along. And when they came along, you know, I didn't think we would have such a unique bond and like chemistry with one another. But, you know, the way we were talking, the way we were joking around, stuff like that, it was so much fun, you know. And it's the little things that I appreciate in life, you know. It's those little moments where it's like, you know, this is fun times, you know. This is what life is supposed to be about, you know, enjoying one another's company, whether we're here in the States or halfway across the world. We were together in one virtual area, which was Daytona. And so, yeah, the closing stages and stuff like that. It was funny too because we got to the point where we didn't put enough gas because I was the last one to drive in it. We didn't put enough gas in the car, but I was like, you know what? We're not gonna gain any spots. We're not gonna lose any spots. So I was just I was like literally on cruise control. No pun intended because my name is Cruz, but literally I was on cruise control and it was just fun, you know. And once we finished the race, we did some burnouts, you know, and again, you know, boys, thank you so much for coming along for this race because we were talking like, what are we gonna do afterwards? And we're already in talks of, I probably won't be doing the Bathurst 12 hours because I unfortunately will be on vacation on that at that point of the schedule. But we were talking about the 12 hours of Sebring. All these other future special events that require a team to be in these races. And from what it looks like and from what I'm seeing in our Discord, we are gonna be in the Bathurst 12 hours and the Sebring 12 hours. As for the other future events, we're probably most likely gonna do. We're gonna coordinate that, but you know, again, Philip, Lil Sebastian, Alex, Andrew, you guys were awesome, and I can't thank you guys enough for coming on board, helping me out. Achieve something that I wanted to do uh, this year because I'm not the cliche person that sets New Year's resolutions because those tend to fall. I tend to give myself realistic goals and build off the goals that I had from last year. Because last year was a great year for me in terms of just personal growth and evolving as a human. And it's crazy too because I had on my stream be like Biff throughout the stream, because I'm a big NASCAR guy. And for those of you that don't know, Greg Biffle passed away, in the month of December. I think the week before Christmas. And that kind of shook the world, and Cletus McFarland was, he emphasized be like Biff, which is, be nice to humans, be, just being just a genuine human being. And so in a way I was kind of applying that just, throughout the race too, because it was just, again, when we had errors, stuff like that, again, I don't want to throw a little Sebastian out there, but, I noticed when he would be hard on himself, it was just like, the way we would just like help him, like motivate him to be better, and he was. If I got to give my rookie of the year honors, it's you, little Sebastian, because you really kicked ass from the start of the race to the end of the race. You were the most impressive driver in our group because you improved. You essentially improved throughout the race, which was cool. Because I'm pretty sure all the other guys can agree with me that that it's not easy to take on a role like that, especially when you got adults in here. But that being said, it was overall a great experience. I thank I thank God, my higher power, whatever you guys believe in. I thank God that we had an incredible time together. Because for me, like I said, I set realistic goals of just starting the race and finishing it. I wasn't trying to go out there and win, but we could have won. We honestly, if we didn't have any of the errors and stuff like that, if we had a flawless race, we probably easily could have got a top 3 for sure. But like I said, the fact that this team got put together last freaking minute, like literally last minute, it's it's something that I did not have on my bingo card. So again, Philip, Alex, Andrew, Lil Sebastian, you guys, thank you so much for being great teammates. I'm going to end this video because I'm going to keep talking way more out of my ass and stuff like that and give unnecessary information. But, I hope down the line I can start actually making videos where I can throw in highlights and stuff like that so you guys can see what I'm talking about too. Because that's something I'm still learning as a content creator, or as I like to call myself, a content creator. I'm still learning how to make videos and make it look good for you guys. That's why I have this one shot or one take series, because this is just all one go. I'm just going off of what I'm feeling and what it's like crossing my head. Because yeah, I'm still in shock that we finished the race. I literally, after the race was over, I only slept for like a couple hours until like I actually got my good night's rest yesterday coming into today. So I slept like about 12 hours, so I feel great. But that being said, thank you guys for watching this video. Please like, subscribe to the channel, hit that ring notification, and for future events, because guess what, we're going to Bathurst and we're doing the Sebring, as well as the future hopefully endurance races, because I think we got ourselves a pretty cool team here. Like it's not a team that I was expecting to not only vibe but actually want to do more events together. Because a lot of people will think like, oh, it's like a kind of thing, but I don't know. It's like the way we kind of built our chemistry was like we kind of want to do more events, especially how we were getting along. And I think that's what makes the team more enjoyable to do future events with, is like we were enjoying each other's company. Like I said, there wasn't no like there wasn't no sense of like, oh, I have to be here because I have to be here. No, it was more like I want to be here because I want to be here, and that's what I look for in my team. And so, with that being said, yeah, guys, stay tuned for future events because, like I said, we got the 12 hours of Bathurst. I'm unfortunately not going to be in that race because, again, I'm out for vacation, but I will be for the 12 hours of Sebring. I will try to bring you coverage with that on my channel so you guys can see how my team or our team is doing. I can't say my team anymore because this is more our team than it is mine because, you know, if it was me saying my team, I'd be very controlling than ever before. But, you know, the fact that, you know, these guys came together last minute to help me out, it's more of their team as it is mine. So, yeah, I hope they had fun cruising with Cruz. I hope you guys had fun cruising with Cruz. Again, I appreciate everyone that tuned in during the streams too. Much love to my family and friends that did as well because, you know, yeah, it's a special event that I had marked on my calendar, especially now that I had this computer built. Thanks to my Tony Stark. Shout out to you, by the way. And yeah, again, guys, sorry for making this video way longer than expected, but please like, subscribe, hit the ring notification for future events and future videos too, because like I said, I am excited for what this year has to bring. We kicked off our motorsports year with the biggest race ever, the 24 Daytona. This weekend is the actual race. I'm probably going to be doing some coverage on that too, because motorsports talk, we're in the kickoff of the year, so... But yeah, guys, thank you so much, and I hope you guys will catch me in the future videos. You know, again, thank you so much. Mucho amor to everyone, and I'll catch you all on the flippity flip later.